There was some good, there was some bad, and there was definitely some shocking after UFC Vancouver. I'm going to break it all down for you. I'm going to go through my 1 to 4 star edgy bets, and I'm going to give you the results of my home octagon advantage theory. So buckle up and let's get going. Let's talk about what was shocking. There were 3 controversial refereeing decisions, 2 of them involving low blows that critically changed the outcome of those fights. The first of which was the fights with Kyle Prepolek and Drew Dober. Each fighter was going into round 3 with a round each. In round 3, Prepolek takes a nut shot, takes the 5-minute recovery period. About 3.5 minutes into that recovery period, the referee out of nowhere brings Drew Dober out and announces that he's taking a point. Like, at what point during the first 30 seconds did he not decide to do this? Goes a whole 3.5 minutes, which then tells Dober that he now has to finish Prepolek when the fight resumes. He had this 5 minutes to recover. He was fresh going in. Prepolek has to take the whole 5 minutes. Clearly, he wasn't recovered. The fight starts again. Dober comes in like a Doberman, a vicious attack dog, knowing that he has to finish the fight. He does so. He gets the win, but clearly Kyle had not recovered. That was one of the first controversial refereeing decisions. The second was the fight between Kevin Holland and Mike Malott. Early in the first round, Holland takes a nut shot, recovers right away. 30 seconds later, takes another nut shot, knocks Kevin to his knees, gets the full 5-minute recovery period, and 4 minutes into it, no point is taken. Holland is struggling to feel better. Even as the 5-minute recovery period is over, the doctors are called in. Kevin doesn't want to quit. He doesn't say anything, but you can tell that he is not doing well. Isn't it the ref's job to look out for the fighter? Holland doesn't quit when he's asked if he wants to quit. The referee does nothing. The fight starts again, ends up going the whole 3 rounds. You can tell that Holland was drained. Some YouTubers were saying that Holland was milking it. I don't think so. That's just not what Holland does. Besides, he took a nut shot the first 30 seconds into the fight and clearly got back in there. You could tell he was not himself. Ends up losing. Here's what's interesting. In the Holland-Malott fight, the Canadian wasn't penalized. In the Prepolek and Dober fight, the Canadian was able to benefit from Dober being penalized. Again, we have the home octagon fighters getting the advantage. It was a bummer that Holland had to take the L in this case because he would have had a draw if his opponent would have taken the 1-point deduction. It is the way that it is. Again, the home octagon advantage was at play here. The third controversial refereeing decision was the fight between Kyle Nelson and Matt Frevola. Kyle Nelson dominated all 3 rounds. However, in the first round, Kyle knocks Frevola down, gets him with ground and pound. There's 3 seconds left on the clock, and the referee steps in to separate them. It's kind of confusing because you can't tell if he's stopping the fight because clearly the bell had not rung. Nelson thinks he won. He went to go celebrate with his team, but then he's told that the fight's still going on. Lots of confusion. He wasn't hurt from this because he ends up getting the win by decision, but he should have won by knockout. Now, shifting the blame of the referees, I still had some shocking results and bad news regarding my 1 to 4 star edgy bets. 2 of them were non-home octagon advantaged fighters, Belgaroui and De Ridder. I'm going to highlight their fights and I'm going to break them down and go into them when I talk about the main card. But in terms of my edgy bets, I took 100% loss on non-home octagon fighters, De Ridder and Belgaroui, and I pretty much broke even with the home octagon advantage fighters. Overall, cumulatively, I'm down 12% over the last 2 cards, and all of my losses came from the Belgaroui and De Ridder fights. I'm up almost 20% on home octagon advantage fighters. Now let's move on and talk about the main card. Before I go into the main card, I do want to highlight a fighter that I think could be a real force in the middleweight division, and that's Yousri Belgaroui in his fight against Azamat Bekoyev. I picked Azamat Bekoyev as one of my 4-star bets. Actually, I had him as a 3 and 4-star edgy bet. But last night, Yousri Belgaroui came out and shocked me. I watched him fail twice on Dana White Contender Series. He was rail thin, nothing in his punches. I couldn't even believe he made it to the UFC. He came out a different human being. That guy looked like a heavyweight. I don't know what Glover Teixeira is doing at his training camp, but some real magic is happening here because he glowed up and leveled up and was a real contender in last night's fight against Bekoyev. He also had an incredibly smart strategy. He knew that Bekoyev was going to try to take him down. He backed himself up against the cage, had a real wide stance. Bekoyev wasted enormous energy and time trying to take him down with a double leg. Belgaroui came in with some 12-6 elbows, did some damage, basically gassing Bekoyev out in the first round. Round number 2, Bekoyev comes out again, tries to take him down. Same thing, up against the cage, big wide stance. Bekoyev could not move Belgaroui. All 6 of that frame was not takedownable last night. By the time we get to round 3, Bekoyev was completely gassed. He could barely stand. In comparison to the fight with De Ridder, if anyone would get a pass on quitting, it would have been Bekoyev. But nope, he comes out like a warrior, wobbling, but leaves everything in the octagon, ends up getting knocked out by Belgaroui. But what a shocking surprise. I really believe that Belgaroui put himself on the map last night. He has arrived, and I'd like to see him against another rising fighter in this division. And after that, if he does get the win, I'd like to see him against a top 15 fighter. That's Yousri Belgaroui. Great job last night. Now moving into the main card, I already talked about Kyle Nelson and Matt Frevola. Kyle should have gotten the first round TKO, but he ends up getting the win, so great for the home octagon favorites. Moving on to the next fight, it was Charles Jourdain and Davy Grant. Most were picking Davy Grant. I went with Charles Jourdain, and so glad that I did. And he earned his stripes with his nickname Air. Air Jourdain was absolutely beautiful with those flying knees, got a jumping knee to knock down his opponent, and then came in with the guillotine choke. This is Jourdain's second fight at bantamweight after moving down from featherweight after his loss to John Silva. And both of these fights have won him Performance of the Night through guillotine choke. The guy has one of the cleanest guillotine chokes in this division, and his flying and jumping knees are absolutely gorgeous to watch. Fiorot shows us her chops last night with her striking, hits Jasmine with a straight left to the chin. Jasmine falls to her knee. Malott pounces on her, starts wailing on her. Jasmine is in turtle position, unable to fight back. The ref warns her to fight back or do something. Jasmine is completely unable to fight back, calls the fight. Malott gets the win. Now for the co-main event. This one was a bummer. There was really some bad refereeing here. As I mentioned, this is the fight between Mike Malott and Kevin Holland. Kevin clearly was not the same fighter coming out after the damaging strike to the groin. But unfortunately, Malott wasn't penalized. There should have been a 1-point deduction for Malott. All 3 judges end up scoring it 29-28 in favor of Malott. And unfortunately, it should have been a draw, but Kevin Holland gets his second loss in a row. Now for the main event, Brendan Allen and Rainier De Ridder. RDR comes out in the first round and really shines with brilliant jiu-jitsu. He gets Allen up against the cage and has a beautiful judo throw, takes Allen to the ground, immediately gets full mount, and instead of coming in with ground and pound, he gets him in an arm triangle. Both fighters remain there for about 30 seconds. Allen does not panic, remains patient, eventually slips out of the arm triangle. RDR makes a couple more attempts to get a rear naked choke, doesn't get anything, but is clearly dominating the round. Round 1 ends, and I'm thinking easy money. This is a no-brainer for RDR. I'm going to hit my 3-star pick. Coming out in round 2, it looks like it's going to be more of the same for De Ridder. He starts out strong the first 2 minutes. He has control. He gets Allen up against the cage, takes him to the ground, gets his back, gets a little too high. Allen is able to reverse it and get top control. And from there, the script has been flipped. Allen has control of the rest of round 2, comes down with 2 very damaging elbows for RDR. And the round ends, and you're thinking, okay, so Allen won that round. However, RDR has a slow get up. Like, he gets up, but he's not looking confident. He goes back to his stool. Round 3 starts, and it looks like RDR is going to make a play for round 3, but nope, not happy. Round 3 and round 4 are all Brendan Allen. He has 10 minutes of top control, is really putting some damage on RDR. RDR decides to stay on his back, but has absolutely no answer for Brendan Allen, is completely exhausted and drained. At the end of round 3, the ref has to come out and tell him to get up. RDR makes his way, hobbles over to his stool, comes out in round 4. Again, it's another round of Allen having complete control. At one point, RDR comes in with a reverse leg triangle, but barely has the strength to hold on to it. Allen showed incredible patience, incredible control, and just dominated for the rest of that round. At the end of it, again, RDR can barely come up, gets another warning from the ref, goes back to his stool, and just gives up, doesn't even come out for round 5. It ends up being a retirement, which is a TKO. Brendan Allen gets the win, and this has vibes of Roberto Duran quitting on the stool against Sugar Ray Leonard when he said no mas. Not sure what's going to happen with RDR. He's already earning the nickname Ritter the Quitter. And this kind of changes the conversation for him. Let's see what's going to happen next. Brendan Allen with the big win. This really revives his position at middleweight. Brendan Allen is in an interesting situation. He stepped into this fight because Fluffy had to step out, which was going to give us who was going to fight Khamzat Chimaev. Likely now we're going to see Chimaev and Imavov fight. But now, does this mean that Allen and Fluffy are going to fight next, and the winner of that fight will then fight the winner of Chimaev and Imavov? A lot of things have changed now at middleweight. It'll be interesting to see what ends up happening. Okay, so that's a wrap for UFC Vancouver. Tell me about your bets. There were a lot of surprises here. Did you pick fighters that were underdogs? Did you pick home octagon favorites? Let me know in the comments what you thought about the fight. Did you find it to be as shocking as I did? And what were your final thoughts on UFC Vancouver? Stay tuned for my next video where I'm going to go over the scariest monsters in every division and my picks for UFC 321. See you guys next time.